Today, we are gathering here on this webinar to learn about the strategy behind PhotoShelter's future. We have some key product improvements and feature updates that we will be discussing, but really we want to just let you in on how the product team at PhotoShelter innovates and does our thing to allow you creatives to do your thing even better. This session is really to let people into our product team's process transparently. For clients, this will really help you understand how we use your feedback, what's coming up in terms of feature updates, what's changed in case you didn't know, and how to optimize your creative workflows to make them even faster and more seamless. And for non-clients who hopefully this entices you to engage with us a little bit, we hope to tell you a little bit more about how we help creative teams and enterprise organizations speed up and secure their workflow for the future. Next up, I want to share a little bit about PhotoShelter. We are a team of about 80 to 100 dedicated creative professionals who work all across the US and the UK. We want nothing more than to help creatives create with ease and flexibility. So really, the PhotoShelter for Brands mission is to provide organizations who invest in visual media at scale with the fastest, easiest, and smartest digital asset management solution to power frictionless workflows throughout your content journey. And honestly, across your customer journey. How does the product really work at its core? Well, this is a great visualization. It helps brands with a story to help them maximize the ROI, the return on investment of their content library. It really helps brands who cover live events deliver content instantly to influencers and their insatiable audiences. And it gives teams secure control to customize visibility and access to specific collections and galleries, and then share with all of their creative collaborators internally and externally, whether they be partners, sponsors, or content creators. Basically, all in all, we help creatives save time by putting everything they need to do in one easy-to-use platform. And so who do we help? I know that some of you are actually on this call, and I'm so glad that you are, because you will get a glimpse of what we're working on. But here are some of the industries and some of the clients that we do work with. At our core, we really work with any organization where visual media is really important. Though we also, our platform allows any kind of file, whether that be also a document, a presentation, an audio file, really the meat and potatoes of our organization and our assets that we hold as visual media. As I mentioned while I was chatting with Jeremy, we have a creative Slack community, and there's actually about 1,400 creative marketers in there right now and always. It's always open for you to join, to connect, to network with one another, to ask each other questions about using the platform, and also content marketing best practices. So if you are not in there right now, please go ahead and use this link, bit.ly/PSB Slack, or take your phone and go ahead and scan this QR code, and it'll take you to the live chat channel, which we will be taking questions for the end of the session today. And so without further ado, I want to introduce our guest speaker of the hour. It is our Senior Product Manager, Jon Gorman. Thank you so much for being with us today. And for walking us through a little bit about what your team does and a little bit about you and who your team is. Yeah, so I can't wait to get into this and to share with everyone what we've got going on here at PhotoShelter. Thanks, Gorman.
Thanks, Larissa. That was a great introduction. I'm looking forward to sharing with everybody the next items on the list.
One moment, I seem to have passed off the presentation mode to you. Let me know if you get it.
Oh, yep, I've got it. My computer froze there for a moment.
No problem. It's live, baby.
Not yet. All right, let me show a different window. How does that look, Larissa? Do you see my slides?
Wonderful.
Excellent, thank you. All right, let's start this for real. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. Welcome to Inside Look for July. As Larissa mentioned, I'm here to share with you a little bit more about the product development process here at PhotoShelter and also give you a bit more info on what's been done over the last couple weeks, couple months, and also give you an idea of some of the new solutions coming up beyond that. So just want to say thanks to Larissa and Jeremy again for getting us started. We've got a bit of an agenda to go over today. So thanks, Larissa, for getting us started with the agenda. We're overachievers here, so we're already 25% done, which is great. So I'm going to kick us off by talking a little bit about PhotoShelter product innovation. I'll tell you what's new at PhotoShelter, what's been launched in the recent history, probably available to you in some way. And we'll also talk about what's next. So what's on the near-term horizon for PhotoShelter updates. With that all getting out of the way, let's get started with PhotoShelter product innovation. And as with all good things, that starts somewhere, and it starts with our research and development process. And when I say research and development, I'm really thinking about any of the activities that PhotoShelter invests in so that we can create the best new solutions possible for our customers. So another way to think of this is, how is PhotoShelter building a sustainable lens into the needs of our customers and the market alike? What do we know about our customers? What can we prove? What do we not know yet? And how do we make sure we're tackling the right problems at the right times? Let's kick this off with one of the first steps. As creatives and marketers, you might do this on some level in your own role, in your own way. PhotoShelter, as part of the research and development process, we're very often engaging with customers, markets, or marketers, if that happens to be your title, to understand digital asset management, visual media, software, user experience, all of these items that essentially go into what makes PhotoShelter so special. And of course, we're always keeping an eye out for trends that are emerging from these learnings. And there's lots of the ways that we can engage with customers, and you might even have been a part of these before. So maybe you've seen a survey, maybe you've been invited to participate in some sort of test from PhotoShelter. We'll talk a little bit later about some recent investments in user testing, which also plays a role here in engaging customers. I'm sure y'all have heard plenty about how PhotoShelter hosts or attends live events. Those are also a great opportunity to engage with customers, collect feedback, get a better understanding of the world that y'all are living in. And of course, all of this is just an exercise in gathering feedback. Feedback is a gift, so why not listen to the people who will eventually be using the solutions? And why does PhotoShelter do this? Why are we putting such a focus on the customer and the people who actually will use the product? Well, understanding these problems, pain points, workflows, and processes help us at PhotoShelter to build the best solutions possible. And those solutions are built, again, in close collaboration with customers, whether it's at the beginning in this research development phase or a little further along in the product development process, which we'll get to. And connecting with customers in this way allows people within the product team and PhotoShelter as a whole to build a lot of empathy with our customers, which is really important in terms of making meaningful connections with y'all and ensuring that we are building the right things for the right people and delivering value at all times, because that's essentially part of our promise to you. And of course, this is all starting pretty early in the process, but this investment here, talking to people, forming these relationships, really becomes a boon once you get a little bit later in the development process, when you actually have to start building things. That's when the engineering and the technology teams come into play a little bit more. And that ensures that those teams are used to the best of their abilities. If we're always working on the best, most valuable thing, then the rest of the organization can essentially follow suit. There's also a good amount of planning in research and development. We talked a little bit about the research. This is a little bit of the development. There's plenty of potential opportunities to take on or develop. Lots of people want new features, new solutions. There's plenty of problems throughout the customer base. So prioritizing these problems is extremely important in ensuring that PhotoShelter is regularly delivering value to customers. So this plan is always going to ensure that we are solving meaningful problems, developing features that provide a fast and easy to use solution. And I know I've really harped on this, I've said it a few times, but ensuring that customers are involved in the product development process at this state is really important to ensuring effective development, especially down the line. Now, developing the best solutions involves a plan that needs to account for all the magic that customers eventually rely on, even though they don't necessarily see it. There's a lot of things happening that you don't see just because you can't click a button. And that's things like user experience. How do you feel when you use a product? Or automated testing. How do you make sure a product works all the time without customers needing to necessarily tell you that something is wrong? Seamless navigation, how can I easily move from one place to another without having to remember something or enter information twice or anything like that that might disrupt your workflow? Or how can the infrastructure that the platform is built on be fast and responsive? All of this goes into the research and development process earlier on in getting a solution to you. That's a little bit about the process. There's also a team involved here. So I'm going to describe to you a little bit of what the product team and the, I guess, innovation team looks like here at PhotoShelter. First up, we've got members of product and design teams who are located in the UK and the US. These two roles sort of come together to make sure that the solutions represent the best customer needs and problems that we should be solving. Product and design serve different roles. Product manager is there to represent the customers, ensure that business goals and outcomes are achieved. Product managers also spend a lot of time collaborating with cross-functional teams and stakeholders and partnering directly with engineering and design to build a product. So the product manager's responsibilities are helping to make sure that the right things are being done and we're moving in the right direction. And of course, making sure that we're hitting our goals. Whereas design, the goals are slightly different, even though they are, of course, representatives of the customer and want to build the best experience. They're more owners of the look and feel of the product, the user experience, and also user research, which is an emerging discipline here at PhotoShelter that I'll share a little bit more info with you shortly. Now, what happens when you bring these two different types of roles together and you combine them with the rest of the company, like interface design, engineering, development, maybe people with marketing or sales experience? All of this comes together to essentially start putting together the puzzle of what a solution might look like. There's lots of folks who have different experiences with customers or technologies or design patterns. So there's a great way to extract a lot of wisdom of the crowds from people who aren't too far away from you, even if we're just speaking digitally. So think of questions that you might lean on your colleagues for to build the best solution possible. What problem are we solving? How should it look? How should it work? How should a customer or a user feel when they're using this? Why would someone using this? Why would someone use this? And when is the right time to take an action? All of these considerations are happening up front before development starts. So that way, again, we can make sure that we're building the right things at the right time and making the best use of resources. Now that we've talked about the smaller team and the larger team, let's talk about how things essentially move from start to finish. At PhotoShelter, in terms of how the team works, there is a large sense of customer focus, which I hope I've impressed on you at this point. And we also operate with Agile and Scrum principles here. So what does that mean? There's an emphasis on learning and feedback loops, which hopefully also has been impressed here. We're talking to people, trying to identify facts, patterns, and trends. Agile and Scrum will both ideally help us bring a sense of predictability to launches. If we can measure what we need to do, hopefully we can find the best way to get to that endpoint. And Agile and Scrum also ideally will help ensure teams are focused on the best solutions to build. So as mentioned, if we understand customer problems and we know that we're building the right things, as product managers and designers, we can also help ensure that the engineers are working on the most valuable products and solutions at all time. So this can ideally help us get to the end goal faster, with less risk, and more focus. So this is all in the interest of providing organizations who invest in visual media at scale with the fastest, easiest, and smartest DAM solution PhotoShelter wants to power the frictionless workflows throughout the content journey. So we need a framework that can enable us to be as quick and responsive as the workflows that we power. I'm going to keep us moving and talk a little bit about the UX development and QA process. I mentioned before that user testing is a new muscle that we are essentially building at PhotoShelter as more really descript piece of work to make sure that we're engaging with customers. And I tried for a while to sum up the real value of user testing, but I think that's really summarized nicely in this quote from a fellow named Olivier Delarue. It is about them and it's for them. The closer the end user's needs are analyzed and answered, the more successful the adoption or purchase of a solution. You iterate until you get it right from a customer perspective. This is the power of design. Ultimately, I mentioned this before, PhotoShelter exists to help teams who invest in visual media. So why not include them in that process of innovation? You can think of some of the products that you know and love right now. The product that wound up in your hand or on your screen probably wasn't necessarily the product that it started out as. There's a lot of iteration and innovation that happens to eventually have a product go from being, this is a popular product management example, but there's a lot of steps in getting from a scooter, which is wheels, something on wheels that helps you get around, to a car, which is a motorized vehicle that still has wheels and gets you around, but there's a lot more work involved in getting to the point of a car. Let's keep it going by talking a little bit more about the design and QA process. I mentioned this before, but we're always looking for ways to gather feedback from customers. Feedback is definitely a gift. Once we receive that feedback from our customers after we've designed something, tested with them, and then continue to iterate, that feedback flows directly into future product development efforts. So we can make changes, make adjustments, make improvements, move something forward, maybe something needs to be toned down a little bit. All of that feedback from our customers gets sent right back into the product so we can take the right actions and adjust course if we need to. If any of this product development process, customer engagement sounds interesting to you, hopefully there's a person who manages your relationship at PhotoShelter and we can help you get situated with that if testing along this line is something that you'd be interested in. And that's going to cover the product innovation portion of today's agenda. Now we're going to get into talking about what's new at PhotoShelter. And when I say what's new, I mean anything in this section is going to be available or theoretically something that you could use if you went and got access to it. And the first item I want to talk about with you all is the Adobe Premiere Pro connector. And that's a recent offering as of earlier this year. This is a new Premiere Pro connector that offers functionality that connects a PhotoShelter for Brands account with an Adobe Premiere Pro program. This enables users to access all of their content in one place without necessarily having to manage Adobe Premiere Pro and a browser and maybe a downloads folder or some other type of download manager. This is going to reduce the context switching for teams who are investing in video, so that way they don't have to worry about further increasing their costs by worrying about where they're moving or storing their files. Instead, the connector can allow you to just access, drop it into a project, and upload the content if you need to do that through Premiere Pro as well. So let's go ahead and take a quick tour through the Premiere Pro connector. And I'll show you the quick highlights of that. So first off, mention that you can browse the contents of your PhotoShelter account without leaving Premiere Pro. If you're not familiar with Premiere Pro, don't worry. I'll walk you through what we're looking here on the screen. So on the left, we've got a connector window, which is pretty standard for any of the Adobe connectors that are available. With this window, you can browse the galleries or collections in your PhotoShelter account, and of course, the files, any file really, images, video, or anything that Premiere accepts. For this example here, we're going to be adding a video to a project. It's also worth highlighting here that whenever you want to access content from a PhotoShelter account, all you have to do within Premiere Pro is log in with your credentials as you would anywhere else that you need to log into PhotoShelter. It's really simple, and then you can browse and access your content as you need to. Now that you've seen how to browse and see the content that's available in an account, you can of course then activate that content. And the most likely activation for that content in this context is to bring the content from your PhotoShelter account into Adobe Premiere Pro. And again, all of this is done without leaving Premiere Pro. So you don't have to, jump into Chrome or Safari, find the file, download it, get it in your downloads folder, find it, get it into Premiere Pro. This is really all just one step. So from Premiere Pro, we're in that area where we're browsing our PhotoShelter content again, and then we just select a file and place it into the project. And what that's going to do is it's going to add the file from your PhotoShelter account to your Adobe Premiere Pro project, and then you can work with that file in your project as you produce your content. And of course, once you are done with your content, maybe it's in a place where you are happy with it, you can then upload that content to PhotoShelter via the Adobe Premiere Pro connector as well. And from this spot, you can also add metadata to the files that you're uploading to ensure they are searchable once they land in PhotoShelter. Excuse me, let me take a break for a sip of water. All right, so we've toured through essentially the primary features of the Adobe Premiere Pro connector. You can browse, source, and upload content all from Premiere Pro without leaving the program. It's a really solid connection between the two systems, so you don't have to do as much bouncing around as you would with other video programs. And this is also a great time to highlight that since we added Premiere Pro recently, this same functionality, the functionality that I'm talking about where you can browse, place, or download files or assets from your PhotoShelter account into a Adobe Suite product, and then upload it back to your PhotoShelter account. All of this is possible with a few other connectors that PhotoShelter offers. Think InDesign, Photoshop, and Illustrator. Because we're a product platform that is essentially built by creatives, we offer a wide range of these other API integrations that might be useful for your teams. So in the event that you are a PR pro, social media strategist, digital marketing manager, content creator, any of these integrations might be able to help further reduce some of the context switching for your teams, save some time, save the little headache of having to look through your computer to find a specific file. These integrations can help just line that up a little better for you and reduce the time needed to move your content from point A to point B. So definitely let us know if you're interested in any of these items, and we'd be happy to connect you with the best person who can set that up. We're going to move on to another What's New item now, and we're going to talk about PhotoShelter's artificial intelligence updates. And specifically today, we're going to talk about People ID. Now, People ID is a new offering that enables users to tag specific people in photos without actually manually tagging them. So this is a little bit of magic artificial intelligence, so to speak. And People ID ensures that stakeholders and other really important people are easily discoverable in images that they might appear in. So People ID is going to be a real boon for speed and content production. Imagine needing to find a group of images of a particular person or group of people. If those groups of people or that person has not been explicitly tagged or keyworded somewhere in metadata, it's going to be really difficult to find that person and get the content needs addressed. So People ID is a really easy way to train your PhotoShelter account on how to identify people in images. And really the only investment here is sharing a few headshots in PhotoShelter so the system knows who to look for, and then you'll be able to identify people in images. And this is really important depending on what sorts of stakeholders or content you might have. Think of your headshots for staff or influencers. Think of attendees at events, or maybe if you're hosting a panel. All of these very likely involve people front and center of your imagery to be used in content later on. So People ID can help you find and identify those people in those images more quickly. Now let's talk about homepage customization. And when we say homepage customization, we're explicitly talking about the portal for the PhotoShelter for Brands product. Customizing the portal, at least with This set of solutions ensures that visitors always have access to a search bar wherever they land in your PhotoShelter portal, which was not necessarily the case prior to this launch. You would have to go to a specific page in order to be able to access the search functionality. So just in that description, we've already removed a few steps from the search workflow. Why has PhotoShelter essentially taken this on? We know that easy content discovery is fundamental in supporting a lot of the workflows that PhotoShelter is instrumental in. This feature was launched a little bit earlier in the first half of this year, and we've already got over 230 brands using one of these new options since the launch. And each homepage option provides customers with an experience that supports a specific workflow, and we will go through all of those in just a moment. So if your stakeholders need to find search easily and get results quickly, we've got an option for you. If your stakeholders are primarily managing the access of their content with specific levels of access or maybe permissions, there's a ideal homepage that you might be able to turn to. Or if your stakeholders need a robust search experience right away with filters and other options for tailoring results, there's an option for that as well. If you have a PhotoShelter account already, you've been there, the next few slides might look pretty familiar. But if you don't have a PhotoShelter account, I'll do my best to explain what you'll see on the next few slides. So first up, the settings. Pretty simple to get your new homepage set up. There's just 3 items from a radio list that you would select from. You can either have a custom landing page, you can have the quote unquote galleries section of your portal show as the homepage, or you can have the search section of your portal appear as the homepage. And each of those serve one of the workflows that was just mentioned. And we'll start with the most popular option, which is the homepage search bar. And this animation shows a few examples of homepage search bars that are already live on PhotoShelter. Of course, this option makes content discovery really easy. Like the Googles or Amazons of the world, search is extremely important. So the search bar is here front and center. You truly can't miss it. It's really easy to see, type a search, and just start finding the content that the stakeholder needs access to. The second option that we touched on earlier was defaulting to the galleries page, where users will be able to access content with whatever specific permissions that they have. And that probably makes a lot of sense if you already use PhotoShelter, but if you don't use PhotoShelter, a gallery is something that's going to hold your files. So it's kind of like a folder on your computer. There's also collections in PhotoShelter, which are also like folders on your computer. So all of these are just ways to organize your content. And when you have your content organized, you can put permissions on those galleries or collections, so those folders. And then whoever has permission to see that folder will see it on your portal. So another way to say that is if you are managing permissions for your stakeholders to ensure they have access to content, maybe the galleries page is worth considering because it'll automatically show them everything they have access to and they can sort of take it from there. It's also worth highlighting that on the galleries page, even though we're not on the home page with a search bar or defaulting to the search page, you will always have access to a search bar on the galleries page. It's just going to be on the top right. So if you default here, a user can still perform a search and it will still be on the first page they land on. And lastly, let's talk about defaulting to the search page. Now, this is a page that a user would land on if they perform a search and they need to maybe apply some filters or apply some extra options to refine the search and find the exact content that they need. Now, you might default to search if maybe there are a specific set of files you'd like visitors to see when they first land on your portal. So for example, let's say you have a specific keyword, tag, or piece of metadata for your game day photos or for a specific event, maybe a commencement, something along those lines. Those keywords can be defaulted for the search term, so that way those files are shown first. So in this example, for the keen-eyed, you might be able to see that we're looking at photos of Ireland. That's actually pre-filled as part of the homepage customization settings. So what this organization has done by defaulting to pictures of Ireland is ensuring that every visitor who lands on their portal is always going to see this content first, and then they can essentially go from there and refine whatever they need. Let's keep this train moving, and we're going to talk next about custom design templates. Now, custom design templates are going to be a solution to help you keep designs and content standardized and on budget. Custom design templates ensures that teams can produce content quickly, on brand, and with lists back and forth, which is really interesting because design, specifically custom design like this, is really important to creators and marketers alike. We'll say roughly half of marketers use graphics in their content, and a third of the graphics used in marketing content are actually custom graphics, which sounds like a lot for your marketing efforts to make sure that the graphics that are representing your brand are all custom for whatever the initiative might be. As you can imagine, this content takes a long time to produce and it can often be costly to replicate. Enter custom design templates to help remove some of those barriers and reduce the friction a bit. So first up, with custom design templates, you can browse the templates available to your organization. These are available to be edited or reproduced. And of course, if you have other templates that you'd like to include, your organization is free to put them up there. Once you have selected a template that you'd like to edit, you'll be able to make your edits in the cloud, and you'll even be able to source images from your PhotoShelter account to make swaps or changes. So you'll see in this example, we've moved from setting up a speaker announcement to having a speaker announcement with the CEO of PhotoShelter, Andrew Fingerman. And all of these edits, again, can be made in the cloud, so that way you don't have to necessarily worry about installing a separate program for your templates. And lastly, once you've made your adjustments, you'll be able to take that template, take that artifact, and download it as a PDF or JPEG, so you can then share it out with wherever it needs to go to next, which also could be uploading it back into your PhotoShelter account for safekeeping. Now that we've talked about what's new, let's talk a little bit about what's next. So what can you anticipate from PhotoShelter over the next couple weeks and months? And we'll start with portal accessibility. So portal accessibility is essentially ensuring that PhotoShelter's portals are WCAG 2.0 compliant, and this helps PhotoShelter customers by providing an accessible, equitable experience. And what does this all mean? What are these abbreviations? What are these terms? WCAG 2.0 stands for the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and these are published by the World Wide Web Consortium as part of their Web Accessibility Initiative. So this group of folks wants to make sure that the web is widely accessible to lots of people, regardless of their abilities. And these standards outline a set of rules, regulations, things that software companies and other companies should follow to ensure content is more accessible to people with a range of abilities, regardless of their ability to hear, see, learn, move, think, speak, etc. And these standards are developed in collaboration with a worldwide community, so there's lots of representation for different types of abilities. And these updates will be going out on a rolling basis, and we look forward to sharing more info about them with you in the near future. There's also a set of search enhancements that will be coming soon to the portal, and that's going to be the ability to show collections and galleries as part of search results. I mentioned galleries and collections earlier. They are essentially akin to the folders on your computer. They hold content in PhotoShelter, so it's easier to organize and share that content. Including more types of results in search results amplifies content discovery, making it easier to find similar files. So another way to say that is, as the manager of the DAM, the manager of the content, you've already put the work into organizing the content into logical buckets, logical folders that users could find them in. Why not enable users to find those buckets, and then they can also find the files inside those buckets. It's another layer that we've been able to add to the product that'll be released in the coming weeks that will help make, again, content discovery easier, which has certainly been a theme throughout this presentation. And in terms of what it might look like, it'll probably look very similar to the search experience that you see now, except you'll be able to see more and different types of results, like collections or galleries. and you'll even be able to filter on those new types of results. So if you're only looking for a gallery or only looking for a collection, we're going to make that a little easier on you too. And that brings us to the end of this part of the presentation. Thanks, everybody. I believe we've reached our question time, and I'm going to hand it back to Larissa.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic, and you are a wonderful, wonderful presenter. So thank you for sharing and letting us all into how your team does their jobs, how you do incredible, innovative things, and how we are improving our platform and have improved it very recently. That was awesome. I am just so grateful for you. Thank you. I know that this is now our question and answer portion of the session, but I did want to just share with folks who may not be actually using our platform currently. If you scan this QR code with either your computer's camera or your phone's camera, you can actually join a different channel in Slack that will sign you up, or sorry, I'm so sorry. This will take you to a landing page that will have you book a meeting with one of our customer success representatives and our DAM experts so that we can just walk through how your team does your thing, how you create content, and what would be beneficial about our platform for your creative team. I know that we do have some questions that came in during the session, Gorman. So if you don't mind, may we start that part?
Yes, please, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so we have just a few here. And as I ask these questions, if any other things come up that you wanted to share, feel free to do so. So one is, do the Adobe integration, specifically the Premiere Pro integration you just mentioned, allow direct FTP uploads? Does that content immediately become discoverable and accessible through the integrations?
That's a great question. Based on the way the question was asked, I'm going to say no, only because the current upload functionality is through the PhotoShelter API, not necessarily through FTP, which isn't to say that we couldn't explore adding the FTP upload feature into the connector, if only for the reason of one, I believe they could be faster for some people, and you might be able to upload more and different types and sizes of files. So that could be something interesting to pursue, but currently, no. I'm going to say no for FTP uploads, though I believe I talked about the product team earlier. I want to say that our new integrations senior product manager is on the call. So hopefully she's listening. And if she's not, I'll be sure to pass on that feedback.
Yes, this is what it's all about. Ideating and innovating and as you said, hearing what customers feedback and
Yeah,
applying it.
we're doing it right now. It's very meta.
Yes, right? It's perfect. Also, I wanted to compliment you on your plant wall. I don't think anybody has mentioned that in the live chat channel, but I am live. Um, the second question is, for People ID, how long does it take for your platform to learn the faces that are important to an organization and to recognize them in uploaded content?
That is a great question. I don't have the answer offhand. I know it is fast and likely near real time, but I can get an exact answer. And for the person requesting the answer, we'll probably want to connect them directly.
Okay, cool. I will go ahead and do that. Okay, one coming from Will Navarro, who is a team photographer for Angel City FC and the LA Rams. Can you use more than one keyword or words to search images? Will that be added on?
That's a great question. Yes, you can use more than one word or term in the search field. So in the example that we shared today, it was just Ireland. It could be Ireland space hills. It could be Ireland space flag, or it could be, representative of something else. It could be a single letter. It could be like a series of characters if that's something that your organization works with in like your metadata standards. But really, a keyword or a set of keywords, you can use that to either perform a search or you can use it to default the search like we were talking about as part of the homepage customizations.
Awesome. Okay. That is
Oh,
helpful.
Larissa,
Oh, sure,
sorry.
sure.
My incredible colleagues are real time sharing me answers.
Yeah.
For People ID, it is almost instantaneous from one image. So it is very, very fast and almost real time, which is what I wanted to say. So we'll say People ID, very fast and almost real time.
Amazing, amazing. Okay. Thank you for that quick answer and real-time answer, product team. Appreciate you. See, teamwork all in. We're just really living our values right now. I love it. We have another question. This is coming from Darren Dong from Riverside Community College District. Will there be a plugin and or integration for Microsoft 365 cards integration for intranets?
I can't say that I've heard that particular request for Microsoft 365, but we definitely have heard requests for the Microsoft like integrations in general for Teams or other products that Microsoft offers. So if that person is able to share a bit more info on what they're looking for or how they want it to work, I'd love to share that with our integration senior product manager, who I'm name dropping again. But yeah, I would definitely love to pass that feedback along so we can explore that some more.
Awesome. Fantastic. That is lovely. And yes, we will get Darren Dong's information for you and or connect you on the live chat channel, which I do not know if you are a part of the PSB Slack community, but we will be adding you immediately after this. Let's see. Okay, we have what seems to be one more question. I know we would love to have a custom color option for the search buttons on the custom homepage if that's a thought for development down the road. That's more of a comment slash suggestion,
Mhm.
but really good real-time feedback on what we just showed.
Yes, definitely. And I can speak to it because that person is not alone. We've definitely heard from other organizations who have, very specific, particular branding considerations, or maybe the image that they've chosen isn't like great for the default blue. So it is something that we are exploring for a future update, but not necessarily prioritized right now. So that feedback is definitely known and on the list, so to speak.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Chris, thank you. Chris Oyoung, our other senior product manager, thank you for going in and answering very detailedly Will's question about the search terms. That was amazing, and we will probably be excerpting that or using that in some kind of blog content since it is so in-depth. Okay, another question. Will there be any functionality or fix coming for the issue of not being able to see a white Illustrator or PNG logo, since the background of the platform interface is on a white background and you can't see the content before you download?
Uh, hmm. I might ask some clarifying questions, but generally it sounds like better support for transparency on PNG files. It sounds like it could be for the logo in the navigation bar, or even like a logo as a file somewhere on PhotoShelter, of which we do have plans to support transparency better in the future. So that's another feature request that's known and on the list.
Awesome. Fantastic. For any of the other additional product sort of feature requests, we are going to be sharing our submit a feature request landing page in the live chat channel in just a moment. But I did want to also give you any space if you had any additional comments that were coming to mind as I'm asking these questions. We have two additional questions that we'll go through after this. Just wanted to give you a pause.
No, but I do appreciate the pause. Let's keep going with the questions. We'll keep on that feedback is a gift bit, so let's keep listening.
Will there be a link to, well, we definitely, Teresa Montgomery, there will be a link to this webinar available later. And then we have another question from Debbie Nailmeyer. Have metadata fields been expanded for video clips yet? That is a great question.
Offhand, I'm going to say no, because it sounds like this person is very aware of the current 3 video metadata fields. I'd be interested in what other metadata fields this user would like to see, so we can get that into the list. I guess I can tell people I help PhotoShelter with parts of the video product right now, so I'll definitely be listening out for that type of feedback, of which metadata is part of it. So if we can connect with this user afterwards, that would be great.
Okay, great. Yes, I just actually messaged Rachel Brown to get her contact information. So Debbie, we will be getting back to you. And Teresa, if you are in our PSB Slack community channel, I will actually directly link and send you this session right after. All right, let's see. I think we have just a few more. Just a few more. Oh, okay. Here's a great question. Not that these aren't all fantastic questions. Can people ID tags be used with social sharing tools like Socially, Greenfly, Influencer, and or Open Doors? If so, how?
That is a great question. Can I ask the user or the question answerer to provide a little bit more context? Like, how would they expect that to work? If the answer is maybe, or maybe we
Yeah,
can come back to it.
yes, I think that I'm assuming that the way that they're asking is, is the metadata that is input on images that use people ID, so any images that use people's faces, is that metadata translatable within a social app? So if you are trying to find influencers or stakeholders in images, and the content is then uh, easily found and accessible through those social sharing platforms, similar to exactly how you can browse your content library in the Adobe integrations. I actually think I know this answer, and the answer is yes. So the people ID tags, meaning the metadata about specific folks that you have identified to be tagged automatically will be translated and findable, searchable within your content library from those social sharing apps. So if you're a social media manager of a brand that works with influencers on campaigns, or a sports team that's working with, that represents really amazing athletes, and they score a goal, or your influencer does something really cool online, you can search their name on the social sharing app, and the metadata will pull in from your assets. From People ID and from PhotoShelter. So you'd be able to find that content immediately by searching that person's name. So yeah, so similar functionality, I would say, and or the tags translate and or are usable within those social sharing apps. I hope that answers whoever asked that question. And then Christy Perry is wondering, is People ID an additional fee / an add-on?
That might depend on the account,
Right.
which is not a great answer, but that would be likely an org specific answer.
Okay. Okay.
So that might also be worth a follow-up after this session.
Right, right. And then another question that was actually going back to the metadata for video, is custom metadata for videos available like with photos?
Not currently, no. Custom metadata is currently an images only solution, though we have heard feedback on that feature to have it work for other file types, given that it's another way that people tend to organize their content beyond just the regular metadata paradigms. So that is also something, sorry, I've said this a few times, but it is on the list as a known request.
That's perfect. That's absolutely fine and a totally great answer. The point of this session really was to transparently open the dialogue and discussion, as well as just share in a formal way, sort of, how we do our jobs and what we're actually doing to take that feedback, customer feedback, and implement it. And really to highlight some of the great things and improvements that your team has done on our platform in the past 6 months-ish to a year. So I really appreciate all of the quick responses, all of the actual feedback and engagement from our clients and from our prospects and our audience here today, and our actual employees. Thank you so much for real-time answering and providing some customer feedback and dialogue. And thank you, Gorman, for your time today. I think that we are going to end just a few minutes early, but I wanted to quickly, again, direct folks to our Slack community. This is just an open area for you all to connect with one another. You know, it's open always. There's 1,400 creative marketers in here, so feel free to browse within the channels that exist. There are even some industry channels, like for baseball creatives, nonprofit, soccer creatives, and even social media pros. And if you are not currently with us, again, I wanted to share this opportunity to chat directly with us, with our team, to share a little bit about how you and your creative marketing team actually produces content, how you develop, how you're approaching content marketing, and how we can actually help fit into that workflow and really help you. I know that before I started working at PhotoShelter, I myself was a social media manager and an editorial marketing strategist for digital publishing brands. And if I had known that there was a solution like a dam that like PhotoShelter, and there were such great people behind it who understood creative issues and all of the troubleshooting issues that we come up against every single day within our workflows, I would have saved a lot of time. So I'm really, really grateful for all of your attention today, for you to let us in on how this product is evolving, Gorman, and for actually sharing space with all of you. Thank you, and have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.